welcome back to another episode of Toast TV. I'm here with this week's co-toast, Meghan Licata.
Hi.
Meghan Licata is a dear friend of mine and just an all-around amazing individual and beautiful person.
Happy to be here.
Clearly, happy to have you. We're here at the Nomad Rooftop, where Meghan is the special events manager.
That I am.
Yeah, very cool. So thanks for inviting us into your home, away from home.
Happy to have you.
And speaking of homes and away from homes, we are here today celebrating Thanksgiving. And toast. So Meghan, can you tell us a little bit about what you've put together for our viewers today?
Of course, and I'm happy to be here at this time because this is one of my favorite times of the year, not only because it's a great holiday with tons of food and family, but also my birthday falls on the same week, sometimes even on Thanksgiving.
It's on Tuesday this year.
Yeah, this year Tuesday, some years the day of, so my favorite thing to celebrate during Thanksgiving / my birthday is to be with my family and to eat well and cook and celebrate what the reapings of life are, you know? So we're going to go through a basic recipe for what one would have after a really big Thanksgiving dinner, sort of that day after sandwich inspired toast.
So if I may, so we were talking the other day about Thanksgiving and our favorite parts about it, and we have something in common, which I'm sure a bunch of you can appreciate as well. But it's that like day after Thanksgiving sandwich, where like you take like the leftovers, which toast obviously is my first favorite food. My second favorite food is leftovers, and I get that they're categories of food, not actual like items of food, but that's fine. So anyway, so we were talking about that, and we were wondering out loud to each other what that would look like in a toast format. And so Meghan, in her creative, brilliant, just like impressive brain of hers, not just a pretty face, she came up with
Very
this.
kind of you.
So she's going to tell you sort of everything that's involved in here, because I'm impressed.
As you know, we all have our leftovers, our favorite leftovers after Thanksgiving. So this is my take on some of my favorite leftovers. We're going to start with the bread because, I mean, it is Toast TV.
Yes, and this is actually Toast TV first. This is the first time that we are actually featuring not just the spread, but we'll get there, we're doing that, but also the bread itself. So the past couple of episodes that we've had have just really just focused on the spread. But it's Toast TV. We might want to put a little bit of attention on the bread, and we have done that here today. By we, I mean Meghan.
Yeah, I thought it was super important that because of the Thanksgiving vibe to all of this, that we highlight what is homemade and what can be made with your family together at home, invoking all of those like nostalgic senses, the smells, the tastes of homemade food. So starting with the bread. I was super inspired by one of my favorite ingredients during Thanksgiving, the stuffing. Stuffing is a staple for many households, especially my own. I'm sure yours as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so and we all have our own individual spins on a stuffing recipe.
Yes.
And stuffing is there the next day too, if we're lucky, to enjoy in a sandwich or on toast. But to marry both the world of toast and Thanksgiving stuffing, I've created a bread here today that is essentially called a harvest bread or stuffing bread, which is flavored with the same herbs and aromatics as homemade stuffing. It can be done a ton of different ways, but...
So it's kind of like a meta stuffing, because if like a stuffing is like dried bread that's like broken down and then flavored, this is like the stuffing piece is almost like reconstituted, but that's like not how it's made. But and then reformed into a loaf of bread.
Yes,
Love
exactly.
It.
So basically, it's got all the same flavors, the same aromatics as homemade stuffing, and there's a million different ways you can enjoy this bread because of the fact that it's a very hearty bread. You can constitute it for other things. We're gonna make toast today, obviously, but I've seen different renditions of it where you can incorporate sort of stuffing elements such as apples, celery, sausage,
like
if you
in
will.
the bread.
literally in the bread.
I would definitely put sausage in the bread.
Yeah, the bread, this type of bread, and the recipe itself is super, super simple to make. It only takes about an hour to kind of let the yeast rise. The ingredient mix is super easy, and then you just pop it in the oven for about 35 minutes. You can also make rolls with it.
Ooh.
Stuffed rolls if you'd like, and that's only about a 20-minute time in the oven.
Okay. So let's
Lots of versatility.
So before we get to the spreads, which I'm very excited about, tell us a little bit more about the bread, like the recipe,
The origin story.
the origins,
Yeah.
and then
Okay,
if
so
our viewers want to make this at home.
yeah, well, it was always a dream of mine to come here today with the Thanksgiving vibe and say, how do I bring stuffing into a toast? So after some research, I actually found in the archives of Fleischmann's yeast, which we all know. Fleischmann's yeast is a very popular yeast brand that makes dry, active yeast as well as instant dry yeast. And so in the archives, because this company's been around for decades, they actually have a recipe for a harvest bread that essentially matches this. It's just simple flour, you have your sugar, you're going to activate the yeast, and then the biggest thing after all of those steps in sort of simply making the bread are the herbs in that, which is rosemary, thyme, you have marjoram, you have sage, and you have a heaping tablespoon of parsley, which I'm like, why is parsley such a highlight here? Not sure, but that's their secret, so we're going to leave them to it.
Well, there's beautiful little specks in here because you eat with your eyes first, is what I've been told. And
and there's a nice helping of celery seed on top that's brushed with egg yolk. So once you pop it in the oven, it sort of allows the browning process to get really nice, and then you have this really nice celery seed texture on top. The goal was to make a toast base inspired by Thanksgiving, so I think we've achieved that.
I think you have more than achieved that. So
Cool.
whatever is beyond achieving something.
And I will add for the viewers that this was one of my first efforts in making bread.
You guys, she made bread for you.
Which lends a hearty argument to how easy it actually is to do. So don't be intimidated to make bread at home. It was definitely a cool experience for me. So. Yeah, thank you. We're going off of ingredients we have at home. Today I've decided to go with sort of a take on squash bread. There's a lot of restaurants in New York that actually feature squash bread. Squash toast. But ABC Kitchen does one and a few others. It's super popular, and it might be the fall-friendly version of avocado toast in terms of popularity.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with that because it's a fan favorite. But please feel free to use whatever ingredients you have from Thanksgiving to kind of do a different variation on this.
So it's the Thanksgiving leftover toast.
So we're going to keep it simple. I have an Italian background, so anytime I have a chance to use ricotta cheese, I will. And ricotta and squash are a really great pair. So here we'll start with what we have on the table.
Almost like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, there's
but
a marriage.
But it's ricotta and squash.
There's some sort of very close relationship here. So basically what's on the table is we're going to have some roasted butternut squash. There's also a sprinkling of cranberries, walnuts, pecans, and chives.
May I?
So imagine this was something that came from your Thanksgiving table, the day before. And you're like, man, I can't wait to get in on that again. That's what that is. And then for just some additionals, we have our ricotta cheese.
Yes.
We have a cranberry relish. And I know that sometimes the cranberry sauce can be either the love or hate thing of certain people's Thanksgiving experience. Some people don't love cranberry sauce. I personally love cranberry sauce. I love the idea of doing something sweet and tart to go with savory. Not the biggest sweet tooth, so don't really lean towards dessert, but something like this on my turkey, 100%.
Got it.
And then just for obviously the minor additions, we're going to have a little salt and pepper available just in case. And then we have some roasted seeds. We're going to do some roasted pumpkin seeds or some roasted sunflower seeds just to kind of garnish it up.
Just a little crunch.
Yeah. So let's get started. So we're gonna start with the ricotta, and obviously portions are to the interest of the individual. You're welcome to use as little or as much as you like. Yeah, and I'll start right now with the perimeter work you're doing over there, because I just was like,
wall to wall, people, wall to wall.
I literally, if you can see the difference between my, I don't know if you can see it, but I thought I was done here. Stacy is literally creating not only the same exact evenness across, but reaching the very limits of the toast perimeter. So this is what I was thinking.
Okay.
I was thinking right now already, yes. I kind of want to add a little pepper on the ricotta.
Let's do it.
I know that's kind of crazy. So
no,
usually it like comes after.
Can we do salt too?
I think so. I really I was really torn about this when before I came, and I was like, I think this is what the move is right now. So we're gonna like add like, just because I think the place in which this is gonna rest is gonna really benefit later on.
I get that.
You know?
I do.
Even, but I was thinking doing like sort of like little nooks. Just because in my mind, the ricotta's the base. Yeah. I don't want to go nuts with the cranberry. Right. I think they should just be like pops of tartness.
Okay.
So like, rather than trying to spread the squash across,
yes, and
then try to get the cranberry across, we're sort of building like a peppering of cranberry in there.
I love that.
Sort of like fun surprise moments.
Ooh.
So I'm just gonna steal this spoon.
Well, yeah, and
hey, they're happening together anyway.
Right, they're gonna make it.
Yeah, and there's also a little red onion in here that was baked in with the squash. So that's what that is. And it's caramelized, so it's definitely like more sweet than like.
I'm gonna want you to do your thing. I'm gonna.
So I'm kind of making like, little pockets where I'm just adding it where I want to add it.
Okay.
Like sort of like this. So essentially it's the same idea of like if you were to sprinkle dried cranberries on it, only that the dried cranberries kind of roll around and
so
they're
annoying.
like they're tough, and it's not really the texture I wanted to give. I would much rather the crunch of the seeds later on.
Okay.
So I'm sort of just like peppering it in certain places, and it's all gonna kind of meld together.
This is beautiful, Megan.
Oh, thank you so much.
Watching you assemble your toast.
I mean, this is sort of, again, the way I envisioned it.
It's like,
but
I love, it's like rustic, but just also very like thoughtful and just full of flavor.
Oh, well, thank you.
Ooh, and this is vegetarian. Yeah,
this is vegetarian, but of course, as mentioned, being the one that understands my motives here, you should use what you have. That's what Thanksgiving's all about.
Yes.
Is using what you have, reusing it, being excited to open that fridge the next day and go into the leftovers you love. So if you want to add a protein on top, who's to say you can't?
Not me.
So we're adding little dollops.
Little dollops, a little dabble.
Which might be a slight deviation from your...
It's not so much integrity, but it is because that's how you want it to be.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not hard and fast.
I mean, if you would prefer to try doing an even spread across, hey, I'm down for it.
No, do you know what I like about this actually? Another part of what is an integrity, like, dish is that it doesn't, like, fall all over you. You know?
Yeah.
Unless it's supposed to. Like, barbecue is messy. It's supposed to get all over you. But, like, you know, you want to eat this with one hand, or, you know, maybe it's a fork and knife thing. But in doing it in sort of a way that, like, keeps the cranberry sauce a little bit more contained, because you're absolutely right. It could very well kind of get a little
And you can
slippery.
even stop at the squash or ricotta if you wanted to. For me, I like the cranberry as mentioned, so that's my little pop around the top. And then I might go back and just add a little bit more salt on top of the squash, just a tiny pinch. I think I'll be all right with the pepper.
Okay.
And then, you know, last but not least, dealer's choice. You have sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds. I think I'm going to go with pumpkin.
Okay. I'll go sunflower.
we always learn so many fun things at the Nomad. And I learned a little bit more in depth for this fall menu about pepitas.
No way. Tell
Yeah.
us more.
Well, I didn't realize pepitas were like a dehusked version of a pumpkin seed. So we've roasted pumpkin seeds with the husk on it, and it's got this like big flat edible browning sort of thing. But when you take that off, you're left with a green dehusked beautiful thing that you can, roast and crisp up, and we do a really great job here at invoking that into our fall menu. So
I'm gonna try.
I'm really
all
into
these.
it. Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because at Toast TV, we like to educate, inspire, and inform, and I feel like we have just checked all of these boxes here today. Okay.
So I feel like we're done. We have our beautiful toast. I'm going to show it a little bit more up close.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see it, everybody.
We'll get a close-up.
Okay, we'll get a close-up. So here we have our Thanksgiving Day After inspired toast with ricotta, salt, pepper, a little bit roasted squash with fixings of cranberry and pepitas or sunflowers.
We did it, Megan!
Yay! Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take a seat, and we're going to eat some toast, and we're going to chat a little bit.
Okay.